Hello everyone, how you going? And welcome to 6 things I wish I knew before moving to Vancouver, Canada. Now obviously as we've explored, Canada is a very diverse but also quite similar thing to Australia, and so I just want to know if I was ever to move there, what I need to know before I do. So let's see what this person has to say.
Vancouver is a great place to live, and for those who choose to try it out, it can offer a lot. From the beauty of it all to the outdoor activities or the landmarks to the rain. But just like when you move anywhere new, there'll most likely be
well, actually, I know it rained, but I didn't really think that was going to be a significant feature.
Things that you'd wish you'd known before taking the leap. And today, I'm sharing with you the 6 things that I wish I knew before moving to Vancouver, Canada. Number 1 is transit. Now, if you aren't familiar with Vancouver at all, you're probably expecting me to talk about how slow it is and how it takes forever to get places. But it's actually the opposite. Vancouver's public transportation is efficient and convenient. The system includes buses, the C-Bus ferry, as well as SkyTrains.
Wow. What is the, don't tell me that's a bus, that's insane. That looks like a tiny little, I don't even know, children's little bath toy. My god, that's crazy.
The C-Bus ferry, as well as SkyTrains, all of which run from about 5 a.m. to 1 a.m. every day and are quite reliable. Now,
all of which, what?
The system includes buses, the C-Bus ferry, as well as SkyTrains, all of which run from about 5 a.m. to 1 a.m.
Oh, okay. For some reason, my brain had to reverse and I was going, what the hell? There's no way. Surely they can't be open from like 1 a.m. to 5 p.m. or I don't even know what. Either way, it just didn't make sense. But no, 5 a.m. to 1 a.m. is certainly a very, well, basically it just covers all the range, and I'm sure there's still some kind of method to get around probably. But no, I just want to take it back to this little fella because look at that. And also, I guess as you just said, SkyTrains, I would love to know that. I don't actually really know the geography of Vancouver, and so I don't know if it's really flat or hilly or what. I can only assume that because it's Canada, it's not going to be completely flat, but at the same time, I don't know.
Now, I did miss quite a lot of classes actually last year, but only a few of them were because of the buses not coming or the transit being slow.
Okay, that's good.
Most of the reason was because I just didn't want to
Let's guess. Yes,
just like a lot of people do, I get myself through the city and anywhere around it without having to look at my phone for a map. Public transportation is get myself through the city and anywhere.
Yeah, these pull cords. Instead of them actually just being like a Sydney bus where you have to, I guess, push a button, all these things. No, you actually have these pull cords running down the side of the bus. That's just really strange to me. It seems really old school, but hey, I guess it still works.
Around it without having to look at my phone for a map. Public transportation is really everywhere. And for those of you wondering how much transit actually look at my phone for a map. Public transportation is really everywhere.
Yeah,
and for those of you wondering how much transit actually costs, it's about $100 a month, but goes all the way up to $177 a month depending on how broad of an area you need to travel between.
Okay, well, is that kind of like a fixed amount? You know, if you're only traveling within, I don't know, the city, the main city, so only got, okay, if you spend over $100 or you can't actually spend over $100 and after that it's completely free, or how does that work, I wonder?
Transit system being very good, Vancouver's also ranked 18th as being one of the most bike-friendly cities in the world. I'm not a cyclist myself, but I know several people who replace their car with a bike when they move to Vancouver. And when they do need a car, they rent an Evo or something similar for the time needed, which is actually quite affordable.
Yeah, especially considering the fact that they're competing with all of Europe, and Europe is just like so set up for so many of those things in so many of their cities, and so to be number 18 when you've got all of Europe to compete against is certainly good, and I can certainly not imagine that any of Australia's cities would be anywhere near probably in the top 50 at that rate.
The main takeaway from this point is that depending on where you live in Vancouver, you may not need to own a car at all. Number 2, weather overreaction. People talk about Vancouver like rain, 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 sun. Rain, 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 sun. And if you look anywhere on the internet for info about Vancouver, you will undoubtedly come across people warning you about the battle with rain that you're going to have to face. Since I moved here 2 years ago, I completely forgot about what I had read on how much it rained because it seemed relatively the same as everywhere else I've lived. Can it sometimes rain for several days straight? Yes. But is it common? Only in a couple months of the year. For being called rain.
That certainly makes sense. I mean, I feel as though just judging off that very, very brief description of what is being given, I feel as though that's a very similar thing to what Sydney gets. I mean, Sydney does actually get a lot of rain in comparison to some countries because I'm fairly sure places like London, which kind of just rain constantly and consistently, it's just never heavy rain. So Sydney, when it rains, it rains. And so I can only imagine that Vancouver's probably a little bit similar.
For being called Raincouver or the wet coast from time to time, it's not actually as bad as they make it out to be. Although it can snow in the wintertime, the temperatures are never anything crazy. For first-time Vancouverites, the amount of snow we get may come as a surprise to some, but if you're someone who's familiar with snow or lived in a place that had it before, it may not really seem like much. Here's a photo of my street today in the summertime, and here is a photo of what it looked like in the winter.
Okay, then, well, that's certainly a little bit of a stark contrast there. I mean, obviously it's the same street and you can recognize it, but no, either way, that's a very just kind of plain summer. I mean, to be honest, it doesn't look like summer to me. It looks more kind of spring, autumn vibes, but at the same time, that is definitely winter. And if it's not winter, if that's somehow your summer on the right there, then I don't even know. You're probably Antarctica or something like that. But no, you can definitely see the very stark contrast. And yes, I guess as he said, if you're coming from a very heavy snow area, you're going to be like, oh, what is this? It's nothing. And then if you come from, I don't know, the Sahara Desert, you're going to be like, oh my goodness, what is all this frozen water in the air?
It's only a few inches, but it could be a lot if you've never dealt with snow before.
Yeah,
so
like
overall,
for me, that would be a lot of snow.
It's not as bad as people say it is. But if you do plan to move here, be prepared for a little bit of snow as well. Number 3 is rental prices. Now, most people who decide to move somewhere new would take a look at the housing expenses.
What is that building? I don't even know which kind of way to look at it. It kind of looks like it's come at me, but at the same time it's falling on me. I mean, I guess each one is kind of compartmentalized in terms of where people live, but that just looks really strange. I mean, maybe if you could see the whole thing, it wouldn't look as weird, but does anyone else find that really, really weird? Anyway, let's just take it back.
Now, most people who decide to move somewhere new would take a look at the housing expenses before going, as they should. But if you haven't done that, you should start doing some research, as Vancouver is one of the most expensive places to live in all of Canada, with the average cost of a one-bedroom apartment being $1,950 per month.
Okay, I guess that certainly makes sense. Obviously, that's about $500 a week. I mean, I guess I don't exactly know where that extends to in terms of, is it only talking about like the city, or is it talking about, I don't know, 20 kilometers out of the city or whatever it may be? Because if it's in the city, it certainly makes sense. If it's out of the city as well, then I guess it could make sense. But I guess in saying that, considering the fact that it sort of was a one-bedroom apartment, either way you look at it, it's just an expensive thing to be living in.
Since the average rent here is so high, it's actually the reason that over 70% of people have one or more roommates. Financial experts say that we should spend around 1/3 or 30% of our income on housing expenses, and if we do the math quick, if you made $80,000 a year, you would be able to afford a $1,950 a month apartment. $80,000 minus the tax you pay throughout the year, divided by 12 for each month of the year.
That's only like 10%. 80,000 is 9,000. What? Are you actually then earning 71, or are you actually earning 89? I mean, I guess if you're earning 71, then divided by 12
leaves you with around $6,000.
Yeah, so I guess doing some quick maths, it's going to be around the $70,000 mark, and so yes, it's not actually 89. You are actually earning, I guess, 71 after tax.
And 6,000 divided by 3 is $2,000, which is about 1/3 of your income. A lot of people ask me how much they would need to make to be able to have their own place, and I usually show them that equation.
80
if you're
grand.
Pretty early on in your career, like I am, then it's not too
owe.
realistic to try to find your own place in Vancouver yet. But if you're near or over that 6-figure mark, then you shouldn't have a problem finding your own place.
Yeah, cool. Well, there you go. You just have to strive for $100,000
bucks. Car insurance, and more specifically, how insanely pricey it is. Now, I already mentioned earlier in the video that the Transit is so good you may not need to own a car at all, and this point backs that up even further. Now, some people love their cars and others need them for work, so this point is for you. The insurance rates are high all over British Columbia, but for younger drivers, it's even worse. Now, as an example, I'll show you guys.
I feel as though this is just absolutely turning into a, oh, look, Sydney does this as well, or Australia in general. Here we go. What is he going to say?
What I pay for my car. As you guys know, I drive a 2021 Lamborghini Aventador. I'm kidding.
What?
I haven't had time to order that yet. I drive a 2001 Dodge Ram. I'm 21. I've had a full license.
21.
Time to order that yet. I drive a 2001 Dodge Ram. I'm 21. I've had a full license for 3 years, 0 accidents, and 0 tickets. If you guessed $352 per month, then you're correct. My camera is worth more than my truck, really. Going on.
Wait, what? $352 a month, so over, let's say $4,000 a year. I mean, I guess that's an expensive. Obviously, I can only imagine he's going to be getting comprehensive or whatever you kind of call it in Canada. I don't even know. But I guess either way you look at it, it's certainly just a sizable chunk of your entire income if you're even just basing it off the $80,000 from before.
Going off the average wage or salary of a 21-year-old, I technically should not be able to afford my car.
Ooh, I wonder what the actual average is for a 21-year-old. I mean, maybe it could be like $2 or negative $40,000 if you're at uni or college or whatever you want to call it. Or maybe it's like, oh yeah, somehow it's like 400,000. Who knows? And I guess, of course, it's going to vary from country to country. But I wonder what metric he's actually kind of using to say that he can't afford it, even though he can afford it, I guess.
And we didn't even talk about the car's expenses itself.
Oh yeah,
for those
true.
Of you
that
who
was
are
just
older
insurance.
Or have been driving longer than me, say in your 30s or 40s. For an example, my friend drives a 2015 Ram 1500 and pays about $220 a month.
Whoa.
So if you're relatively young like I am, or even a bit older, or haven't been driving for that many years, be prepared to dish out some cash if you plan to drive here.
Well, I guess it's just all down to the metrics and the data that the insurance companies have. You know, they're going, okay, look, this person, you know, they're 21 and they had a crash. Oh, look, this person's 22 and they had a crash. Oh, this person's only been driving for 6 months. Oh, they had a crash. And so they just add them all up and go, you're in a very, very high risk category, my friend. And so here you go, just slap this massive bill on your car. And really, like I said, it's virtually identical in terms of what Australia does as well. You know, if you're young, if you're a P-plater, if you're all these things, you just get absolutely ran through in terms of bills and whatnot.
Making new friends can be difficult. Now, a friend of mine from Mexico who recently moved here actually pointed this out to me, and I never thought about it because I've known people in Vancouver all my life. He said it can be actually quite difficult to make new friends outside of work or school.
Wait, hang on a second. I just have to pause it there because he's talking about making friends while showing an image or I guess a video of 5 pigeons. You go, hang on a second, is that the best you could do? I mean, I guess it's certainly going to be pretty easy to get them on their side in terms of you just have to feed them a little bit and they'll probably come to you every single day. But come on, you can't be showing things like that while you're talking about making new friends. That's just sad.
Since rent and expenses are so high here, around 80% of people who move here do not move alone, meaning they already have roommates or friends they're with, making them less likely to be on the search for new friends all the time. Majority of the time people move somewhere new, it's either for school or for job opportunities. And my experience with both of those has been really good, and I did not have a problem making connections at all. At the end of the day, I think it matters more who you are and just how bad you want to make new friends.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly have to agree with that. If you're just going to be locking yourself in your room just all night, every night, just doing whatever, then you certainly aren't going to be kind of exposing yourself to a lot of friendships. And hey, perhaps that's not even really a thing, you know, you don't want to go to here or here or here or here, where generally people might be meeting up and you go, oh, I don't really know what to do besides school or work, and so I can understand, but I feel as though that's just generally, no, it's not like a Vancouver thing or any kind of city thing. If you're actually just proactive, then I guess it's actually probably a little bit easier than if you're not proactive.
Number 6, the not so nice area of Vancouver. This one is something I actually did know before I moved to Vancouver, but I believe it deserves a spot in the video as it's pretty important. The area is East Vancouver, also known as Hastings.
Not all of East Vancouver, more specifically just this part. Okay then, so Vancouver's right there. I have no scale about how big that area is, but East Hastings Street, and then you got that entire circle. Okay then.
As Hastings Street goes directly through the middle of East Van. I don't want to show too much footage of the area as I don't want to record people who live on the street for our entertainment purposes. That's just not right. The reason this area is not so nice as I described it is because of the large amount of people living on the streets. By no means am I saying all homeless people are bad, but it does contribute to the higher crime rate. Nothing awful has ever happened to me when I've been there, but I do know a couple people who have been mugged. The streets there contain more garbage than anywhere else in the city, and also you have to watch where you're stepping for needles and other things like that. I don't want to make this sound worse than it is because I go there and I feel safe. At nighttime, I stay way more alert and I won't have my earbuds in, things like that. But I don't have my heart pounding and I'm like looking at everyone like they're about to beat me up.
Well, alright, I guess I can certainly understand what he's talking about in terms of, I guess every city, or at least most cities, are going to have some areas that are a little bit rougher because of whatever reason it may be, you know. So I guess it is certainly good to know where these areas are, so if you do just want to completely avoid it, you can, or if you actually just like him saying, okay, I don't actually wear my earbuds or anything like that, you can be a little bit more alert, or whatever it may be to just try and make the entire experience a little bit more manageable for your entire emotions in your heart. Maybe like he was saying, it wasn't exactly pumping for him, but for some people it might just be bounding out of their chest. And so yeah, it's like I said, it's good to know, and I feel as though every city has a little bit of an element of this, and by no means is this a good thing or even just anything to be proud of, but at the same time, I guess for people moving into an area, they should definitely just know what they're getting into, if nothing else.
It's pretty much an area that I don't go to unless I need to go there. If you're someone who's been looking at apartments in Vancouver, you may have come across the East Van area and noticed that the prices are more affordable. But that's no mistake, and even if prices are lower, I would recommend you all to avoid this area when looking for a place to live. Even though I covered more negative things than positive things in this video, it's kind of hard to do that when the title is Things I Wish I Knew Before I Moved Here. And overall, there's 100 times more reasons to live in Vancouver than why you shouldn't. Because if it wasn't a good place to live, then trust me, I would not be here anymore. And that's it for this video, so I'll see you next week.
Alright then, well I guess that's going to be it for the end of this video, isn't it? No, that was a very just short, sweet video, you know, like you said, there's a couple of negative things, but then like I said, there's definitely things that you wish you knew before moving, and so that's always going to have a negative connotation because you go, oh, I wish I knew this, or I wish I had the hindsight. I mean, obviously that is going to be the case with every single city around the world, you know, either it's hindsight or you miss something from home, you know, we've seen Canada and UK and USA, all of these different things, and all those people just go, oh, I wish I had this, or it's just not the same, or whatever it may be, and so yeah, you know, obviously it's like, okay, maybe don't live in this area, consider it if you do, but then again, at the same time, he was talking about how the public transport system and even just the weather, that everyone's always commenting like, oh, this is bad, it's actually like, no, it's actually completely fine. And so I guess just once again, we have a video right here that just completely cements the idea that I'd love to go to Canada someday, and you know, like I said before, you just get such a holistic picture of what the entire country's about, you know, where to go, where not to go maybe, and so you just actually get to make the right decisions and actually just experience the country the best. But anyway, in saying that, I reckon I'm going to call it there, so thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, make sure to do the YouTube algorithmic things down below. Also, if this is the first video that you're watching, then maybe want to check out some of the other ones we've done, and also make sure to check out the original video in the description below, or hey, maybe even just want to consider subscribing so that you don't miss out on one of these in the future. But all in all, have a good one and see ya.